Hey, I'm Paul Rabelais, and in this video I'm going to talk about all the reasons why people procrastinate in getting their estate planning done and the consequences of following through with that procrastination. So, we're all procrastinators. I'm a procrastinator. I bet you're a procrastinator, and procrastination is common. I would say it's even stepped up a notch in the estate planning area. So we're going to address that and hit it head on. And my goal for this is maybe get one person, maybe more, to realize there's some consequences of procrastinating and maybe get them to take some action toward getting their legal affairs in order. So why do people procrastinate when it comes to estate planning? Could be one of many reasons. One, there's no deadline, no pun intended on that. Could be they fear that it's going to be expensive. Could be they just don't know what to do. Could be that they know what to do, they don't want to make the necessary decisions. Maybe they feel like they don't need to do it. So those are just common reasons that people tell me why they've procrastinated. Now what do you do about it? Well, it's really pretty simple. Probably the first thing you should do is, if you kind of feel guilty for procrastinating, is just forgive yourself. Say, look, I procrastinated. I'm not the only one who's procrastinated. I'm going to forgive myself, and we're going to start forward with a clean slate, and you'll feel better. Then the next thing I think you should do is just identify the reason why you procrastinated and then understand the consequences of that procrastination. So the first one I mentioned was there's just no deadline. People don't necessarily like doing their taxes, but they do it every year because there's a deadline. With estate planning, we don't know when we're going to get sick or die, but quite frankly, we all know people who have passed away before they expected, or before you expected them to pass away, and they left their family with a mess. On the famous people stage, when I hear somebody talk about Prince, the singer or entertainer, or I hear people talk about Michael Jackson, at least in my mind it goes through, my lasting memory of them is how they left just a complete mess for their survivors, and that really messes up my memory of them as an entertainer. So realize that we never know when we're going to get sick or when we pass away. We've got to address this stuff in a timely manner while we're healthy as an adult. Excuse me. Some people fear that it's going to be too expensive, and maybe in your definition of expensive it is. But when you realize the cost of putting a legal program in order compared to the ultimate cost of procrastinating, you'll realize that the cost of putting an estate legal program in order pales in comparison to the costs if you procrastinate. All of the heirs getting lawyers, the probate or succession, whatever you want to call it, all the delays, kind of the disorganization, the taxes, if you get sick, the interdiction or guardianship, all those costs many multiples of the cost of putting an estate legal plan in order, not to mention the emotional cost that you'll put your family through, having to sort through all of your estate matters because you did nothing to address it yourself. Maybe you just don't know what to do. Who do I get to help? Do I need a will or a trust? And so maybe your not knowing what to do is keeping you from getting things in order. What kind of power of attorney do I need? Maybe you know what to do, but you procrastinate because you don't want to make the necessary decisions. Decisions like, if I get sick, which one of my kids do I want to appoint to be able to deal with all my doctors, to be able to deal with all of my banks and my business and my financial transactions? And so maybe that combination of not knowing what to do and not wanting to make the necessary decisions, maybe that triggered that paralysis by analysis because you're just overthinking things. Now, procrastination in estate planning is real because for doing this for almost 30 years, I realized that a lot of our kind of client activity comes from people having a trigger in their life that got them to overcome their procrastination. So maybe I'll hear something like, well, you know, Paul, Mom passed away and her things were kind of a mess, and you know, we want to make sure that, you know, our things are set up right for our family. Or I might hear, you know, Paul, Mom did everything right, set everything up the right way. It was so easy. I want to do the same for my family. Or maybe I might hear, you know, my uncle died, and from what I hear, my cousins are going through a nightmare. I want to make sure I get my stuff straight. Or maybe, you know, one of those triggers that we see a lot is a health scare. Dealt last week with a gentleman, and he had a near-death experience. And so, you know, that woke him up, you know, again, no pun intended. And really now he's motivated to get his, you know, all of his legal stuff straight. Or sometimes I hear, Paul, we're about to take a long trip overseas and we want to have all our legal affairs in order, you know, before we get on that airplane and go off on this long journey, you know, overseas. So, or maybe it's just some people say, you know, I retired, life's not so busy, I realize I'm not getting any younger. So that's their trigger for wanting to get, you know, get moving and get legal affairs in order. Absent those triggers, you know, procrastination sets into just about everybody. So what do you do about it? That's a great question. So what I'd say to do it after you've, you know, kind of forgiven yourself and identified kind of why you've procrastinated and maybe the consequences of failing to procrastinate. For many, you're going to have to take a humongous step, which is, you know, pick up your phone and call the law firm to schedule a time that's convenient to you, convenient to the lawyers, and get in your car and travel maybe across town with kind of not knowing what to expect. That's a big step, and I actually get it why people procrastinate on that. A lot of unknowns, a lot of uncertainties. Gonna deal with lawyers. Is there gonna be pressure? Is there gonna be significant cost? Is there something I don't know that's gonna happen to me that's kind of scary? So that's a big first step. And so if maybe you can make an easier and smaller first step. Maybe you can watch more videos. Maybe you can get a copy of a book. You know, here's a copy of my book. And start educating yourself before you take that next big step. I liked the fact that just a few months ago, I implemented a first step for people that I think makes it a lot easier for people to kind of crawl before they're, you know, sprinting on this estate planning process. So, you know, once you've overcome your procrastination and like, okay, now it's time, you know, I need to do this, we need to do this. And this video is not about go hire Paul Rabelais right now as your estate attorney, but I'll just give you an example. One thing we implemented on our website and in these posts is just a link that you can click to schedule a 15-minute free phone call. So that's easier than calling the law firm and scheduling the meeting with the lawyers, where you may or may not get a bill for it. But the first step is just clicking on a link that takes you to the lawyer's calendar, who has offered to chat with you for just an introductory, maybe 15 minutes. Hey, what's up? What's on your mind? Let's just, you know, kind of get it out there as to what you're thinking you want to make sure we address, and then, you know, kind of go from there. So that seems to be an easy step for some people to keep the ball rolling. All right, so in conclusion, forgive yourself. Number one, forgive yourself. Number two, maybe identify why you've procrastinated and understand the consequences of you know, failing to overcome that procrastination. And then just take that, whatever that first step might be, that's a little bit of a challenge for you, whether it's educate yourself, read, watch, schedule a call, schedule a visit. Once you start getting some momentum, probably once you talk to an estate planning attorney that you feel comfortable with, you're probably going to be, you know, over the hump, and now it's going to be smooth sailing from there. So that's it. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, thumbs up, like, and I'll keep these videos coming. And if somehow this video got one person around our great state, great country, great world to overcome their procrastination and get that good feeling that comes from knowing that you've got all your legal affairs in order, let us know in the comments below. That would be awesome. All right, I'm Paul Rabelais. Have a great day.